Hello everyone, welcome back to Select Start Quick Save, where it's just me, your gracious host Rick, where I talk to you about anything and everything video game related. Rant, review, or anything I feel like. Today we'll be talking about how Pokemon games are becoming too easy. So Pokemon games have been out for a long time, 24 years to be exact. The Pokemon game franchise first debuted in Japan on February of 1996, which later came to America in 1998. The franchise, since the release of the original 151, has developed many numerous games and sequels, having accumulated a total of 890 Pokemon. With DLC coming out for the newest titles, Pokemon Sword and Shield, we will eventually see this number grow. So the question I'm posing for you, dear viewers, are these games getting too easy? In short, yes. And let me tell you why. So my journey in the Pokemon world started with Pokemon Ruby, which was the third installment of the franchise, also known as Gen 3. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play the first two installments because, like I said, I was new to the series and only recently heard about it because of the TV show I watched when I was a kid. Since then, though, I did have a chance to play through all the mainstream story titles, and could say without a doubt that there has been a heavy drop in difficulty factor of these games. Now, I'm not saying these are bad games, or the fact that they are easier to complete makes them worse. I'm saying that there's a distinct shift in gameplay difficulty that someone who has played the whole series like me has noticed, and either don't mind or they don't like it. And I want to explain to you why I don't like it and what parts really I consider bad. So first off, let's talk EXP share. First introduced in Gen 1 of the series, it allowed players to have the Pokemon on the bench of their party receive a small fraction of combat experience with every win from the Pokemon that fought it. It wasn't so bad, and it made a lot of sense to why they had it. Leveling up Pokemon took a lot of time, and it made games just a little bit easier. It was also an item that had to be given to you if you met a certain requirement of Pokemon captured in your Pokedex. It was later changed in Gen 2 through 5, where it again only gave a small portion of experience to your party, but instead it was assigned to be held by one particular Pokemon in your party, and only that one Pokemon would receive any experience. Again, different, but still balanced. The real change occurred back in Gen 6, when the EXP share was changed back to its original form from Gen 1, but no longer took experience away from the main fighting Pokemon, and the amount of experience every Pokemon in your party gained was increased. This made the game easier when you received the item early on, and just kept it on for the rest of the game. Causing you to kind of not spend so much time for the grind. In more recent titles, the EXP share no longer is an item you can just find in the game, but instead is presented to you from the beginning of the game, letting players kind of breeze by without having to train any of the Pokemon like they used to. I mean, there is an option, I have to admit, in the game that allow you to turn it off. But the appeal of the game, by just giving you the easy option straight out, doesn't really sit right with me. It makes leveling a Pokemon no longer feel like a small challenge of you getting to know your partners, but instead like a small chore where you kind of just do it to progress through the game. The next point I'll bring up is not so much something that makes the games worse, but something that I will never be able to unsee in these games, and that is the remake of my beloved Generation 3 Omega Ruby and Sapphire. Now, hear me out. They give you Latios. Just flat out. They just give you the legendary Pokemon Latios. Now I know, in the later installments of the franchise, they don't give you legendary Pokemons. But this was the one case they just gave you a legendary Pokemon mid-game for free. And they gave you the stone to Mega Evolve it, which just made it so much more powerful. And I just can't. I in life of me, cannot fathom why this was a good idea, and I have never been more insulted in a Pokemon game in my entire life than the game just keeping me legendary. When I saw that, my jaw dropped, and I didn't have the heart to delete it, so it just kind of rotted away in the box. So, Pokemon games prior to this game don't really give freebies. Even the ones even after this one, they don't really give many freebies. In in the most circumstances for this, um, the games allow you to have maybe like a baby egg or the occasional scripted trade, and even more so rarer the special Pokemon events you can kind of download for your game. But never, I mean never, have I seen a game that just straight out gives legendary. That's just ew. But lastly, what else made these games a lot easier was the removal of HMs. HMs, or hidden machines, what they're so called, were a special move that you had to find and teach your Pokemon that could affect the real world environment of the game around you, usually safe to traverse new areas or go through obstacles. They were first reduced from 8 to 6 in Gen 5 and then completely taken out of the whole franchise by Gen 7. They were replaced with different mechanics depending on the game. So, like in what called Sun and Moon, there were no more HMs. Instead, they gave you not give you Pokemon. They gave you a machine that lets you summon Pokemon to do the same things HMs do, but instead of taking up slots and moves on your party's team, they were just free and just progress the game with that. That made the game mechanic of the game really a lot easier. Like the appeal to having HMs with that you had a limited party of 6 Pokemon and every Pokemon could only learn 4 moves. And to go through certain areas, you had to have Pokemon on your party that learned those moves. So you have to give up a slot for a good move in exchange for a useful thing to progress the game. That game's a little bit of strategy and stuff to like the players playing the game, and for like kids who were getting into the game originally, it let them think and be creative about it. Like, oh, I'm gonna have this Pokemon learn this, I'm gonna have this Pokemon learn this, and then I'll have this Pokemon that just learns the move just to have them. I can swap in and out between as I need them. It presents us a little bit of challenge playing these games. So they just took it right out. And without that challenge, players can just use whatever they want on a Pokemon. Though again, I have to remind you by saying that just because these mechanics in the games have changed and the games have become easier, they're still not bad games. I actually highly recommend going out and playing these games, or if you already played them, play them again. Though, if I did have to make a recommendation for future installments for the franchise, I would say have difficulty settings to Pokemon games. And I know that sounds weird and sounds crazy because Pokemon games have never had difficulty settings. There's only one setting, the game. But hear me out. In the latest titles of Pokemon Sword and Shield, they released DLC, which is downloadable content that no game in the Pokemon franchise, in the mainstream Pokemon franchise, has ever had. They had events where you can get like a legendary or mythic Pokemon, but never DLCs where they add new sections of the game. So maybe in the next 1 or 2 installments, they'll maybe add even difficulty settings. One where you can casually play, enjoy the world and story, and one for gamers like me that enjoy more of a challenge. But, dear viewers, I will let that be up to the future, and you decide. Please like, comment, subscribe down below, and if you have any questions or stuff, please shoot a comment or send me an email. And I will see you guys next time. Alright, logging off. Bye.